Hey everyone, and welcome back to We Know You Know. Today we're going to talk about season 2, episode 11 of Psych. I am one of your co hosts, Barb.
And I'm Matthew, the other one.
And yeah, you are. And if you're enjoying the show, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
Yep, every time you guys subscribe or like it, it helps us out a little bit, and
Mhm.
it's more gas that keeps us going.
Exactly. We're trying to build up this little podcast, and every listen helps. So thanks a lot. But anyway, we are so excited to be back with you today and talking about this new episode. Matt, what do we have in the news this week?
So, first off, as usual, we have to give a shout out to our two biggest fan bases, the group on Facebook, the official Psych Fanatics of Facebook, as well as the Psych subreddit. That's just /Psych. Many of our listeners are from these two groups, and thank you guys for giving us a shot and listening and coming back and giving it to your friends. We
And
are
for
noticing,
commenting.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Emailing in all of it. We're noticing lots of growth, especially in these last few weeks.
Hmm.
So you guys, we appreciate you guys, supporting the channel, helping us grow. We also got to give a shout out to a couple of our viewers who messaged in and emailed in. We want to go through some of their emails. We have first, Barb, you want to read the one from Glenn?
Yes. All right. So Glenn, who we've read some of his emails in the past, because he is like a loyal listener. And Glenn, we love you for that. Thank you. So his email today says, "Hey guys, Matthew, I just have to say you hurt my heart when you gave Rabba Baby a one pineapple. Is it a 5? No. But unintentionally creepy Gus is the best thing ever. He's so cringy and so clueless about it. I love him. I don't remember well enough for future episodes, but if I recall, unintentionally creepy Gus has a few more appearances, right? Or did this one just make that much of an impression on me that it seems like a reoccurring bit? Thanks. Love you guys. Glenn in Colorado."
Oh, that's
Do
such a
you
great point.
remember do you remember creepy unintentionally creepy Gus? I
I
by the
feel
way, I
like I
really
do.
love the name he gave him. Unintentionally creepy Gus. That's really good. So we're gonna have to kind of keep a watch out
Yeah, I feel like it
if
is, but I also can't remember any. Huh.
we could call him the UCG. UCG is in this episode. Unintentionally creepy Gus. I love
Well,
it.
yeah, so as far as the Robobi Baby, I just really didn't like it. I mean, even
I
if with that
know.
one being funny, there just wasn't anything else in there that
Mhm.
really got me, and I just it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's just not it's not for me. Actually, in some of the
Okay.
polls we put out, there's a few people that gave it 4 and 5 stars for Robobi Baby.
Wow.
So there's other people out there that agree with you. I'm just
Mhm.
not one of them. Mm,
Yeah, I will say that on like somewhat agreeing with Glenn here is that unintentionally creepy Gus might have been the most entertaining part of that episode.
yeah. Hmm.
So you're not wrong about that, Glenn. But
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I definitely agree with you there.
yeah.
Mhm.
But thank you again for writing in. We love that.
All right.
Matthew, do you have some emails to read too, or one? You have
Yes,
one?
we've got one from a Scully. Uh, Dear Barbara and Matthew, great show. Bounty Hunters is in my top 5 and mostly for the very end. I'm with you, Barb. I love the Shippy Shules stuff.
Yes.
And I also love Bird screaming, "You guys are toast. Do you hear me? Toast," as they drove away. Also, the guy who played Cantancana was Mary's brother Warren in the movie There's Something About Mary, which totally blew my mind. For last week's episode, Rob-a-Bye Baby, that was always one I skipped, but I rewatched it and I like it better now. Also, Henry was talking about Sean's Christopher Lambert accent being bad. He was in the Highlander movie, of which there can only be one because, in my mind, the first movie cut off the heads of all the sequels and the show. I also love Stargate Atlantis, Matthew, and I would absolutely do a podcast with you about it if I lived up there. I just finished my fourth rewatch of it. Until next time, Mary. Thanks for
Mhm.
messaging in. Lot to unpack with this one. Barb, you're not alone on the whole Sean and Jules stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, I get
there
it. I get it. I thought that it was a little awkward in that scene. I thought it was a little bit awkward, but I get it.
well, okay, so let's just okay, here you're talking about unpacking. Let's just unpack this for a second. The thing that I love about it all so much is that it's like you're watching this whole little love story unfold, but it's not at the forefront of it. So you get these little bits of it, and when you get the little bits, it's like, "Oh my gosh, that was great." Because but this is the biggest bit we've gotten yet. This is like, oh my gosh, the end of Bounty Hunters was insane good between the two of them. Insane good. It was like such an intentional thing that was happening. It was just so good. So yeah, so I do love the little bits that we get.
Mhm.
So I know you more enjoyed what she had to say about Stargate Atlantis.
Yes. I totally get it. Although I'm curious if she's seen Stargate SG-1 because Atlantis is good, but SG-1, the cast is just so on point, and there's like 10 seasons of it. There's just tons of episodes.
All right.
Back to Psych.
And can I just say real quick, thank you to everybody who watched our video that we did about
Oh, Psych 3.
Psych 3. Yes, we had so many views on that one comparatively, and it was exciting that everybody watched that. So we're glad you watched that and enjoyed it.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we'll dip our toes in a little bit more and do a few more videos for you.
Especially with Psych 3 coming out, which kind of
Definitely.
brings me to this. We have one of our avid listeners on the YouTube channel, Michael Holst. I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I think a watch along for This Is Gus would be fun, is what he said on the Bounty Hunters episode. That is something we definitely thought about doing.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to do some like looking up to see what the rules are for doing reviews like that or like watch alongs because I don't want us to get hit with like any copyright marks or get yelled
Mhm.
at from like Peacock. So I'd have to see like maybe it's something where we can do sound or maybe we can do like short clips. Although I'm worried about it maybe looking choppy if we're just like cutting to anything anytime something funny happens. I'll have to look it up and see different ways to do that and see if that's something we're interested in.
Mhm.
We'll definitely be doing a review on it though.
Well, we'd also be interested to know how many of you guys would want to watch along with us anyway. Maybe leave some comments for us if that's something that might, that sounds fun to you guys, let us know. We might, consider it a little more knowing that a lot of people are kind of into it.
And I think the last thing we have for news is that Dulé Hill's new show, The Wonder Years, I believe, just got renewed for another season.
Nice.
Granted, we are recording this on the 28th of October, so uh, that might be
You may
news
have
for
heard
you. Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that might not be new news for you anymore,
Right.
but that's all we got for today for the news. So let's jump into this week's episode. We're doing this week's episode, There's Something About Mira, and it first aired on January 11th, 2008. And Barb, what is our writer and director situation?
The writers for this week's episode were Steve Franks, Josh Beisel, and Daniel Hessia. And hopefully I said his name okay. Anyway, Josh Beisel co-wrote on 4 episodes of the show. This is the second one. The first one was And Down the Stretch Comes Murder. Daniel Hessia wrote on 2 episodes as well. This one and Meat is Murder, but Murder is also Murder. So both of these guys we've kind of talked about before. The director of this episode was Joanna Kearns, Maggie Seaver from Growing Pains. And this is the second episode and the last one that she directed. The first one was Poker, I Barely Know Her. So we've kind of seen all of these players before. Um, I thought it was interesting that they're so evident in like the end of season 1 and all of season 2, but they didn't go past that. Like some of them, I think Josh Beisel has some more moving forward, but the other two, this is kind of it.
hmm
Matthew, what is this week's episode about? Give us a synopsis.
This week, Sean and Gus are being followed by a private investigator, and when they approach him, Sean learns that Gus was married. They go see his ex, Mira, to have Gus sign papers and end up helping her track down the would be groom that stands her up at the altar. At the same time, Jules and Lassie are competing for best detectives because Lassie finds out that Jules got a higher score on the detective exam. So they use a stolen truck case to figure out who is the better detective, and the two cases collide at Mira's family's winery.
Okay.
All right, let's get into the episode breakdown. Barb, what do you got? What are we starting with?
Okay, the show opens up with a flashback of young Sean, Gus, and Henry at a fancy restaurant, and they see a guy propose to his girlfriend. Sean first, I have a little side note here that Sean thought the guy was a spy trying to poison her because he put the ring in her champagne. I thought that was
Hmm.
funny that that's where his mind went. But anyway, so they're grossed out. The kids are completely grossed out by this proposal, and Gus says he is never going to get married. And then I love it that Sean sees Sean sees the newly engaged guy checking out the waitress while while his fiance is talking with her friends, and he's like, I don't see it lasting long.
Hmm. One thing I do also point out is that when he asks her to marry him, he puts the ring on before she even answers. So, eh, you know, take that.
You just did not like that scene.
Yeah, no, I did not like that scene.
We jump to present day, and we're at the batting cage with Sean and Gus. I always love to see them do fun things like that, but anyway, can we also note Gus's little dance he does before hitting the ball? Did you notice
Oh,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Like
He
where
gets all ready. He
he
gets.
like touches the plate thing and touches the plate and touches the plate like with his
Mm,
feet. Like that was entertaining.
that's what
Anyway,
the same thing. I do the same thing whenever I'm at like Top Golf. Like I get my feet stance. You got to get it just right, making really small incremental changes until it just feels perfect. Yeah, I get it.
well, golf I get, but like at the batting cage, it was weird. Anyway,
Hmm.
all right, so still at the batting cage, they figured out that they have been followed all day. I love the part where they like the guy has even followed because Sean has taken pictures of this guy all day long, and he had even followed Gus into the bathroom, and Gus is like, "That's my sanctuary."
Yeah, that was silly. Like I love how yeah, Sean has these pictures of him, and like why would the guy follow him into the bathroom? It's so
The
weird. It's
bathroom.
such a great little thing to add in there. It's just like a dumb thing.
Said he followed me into the bathroom, Sean. That's my sanctuary. Sorry, but I thought that was funny.
All right, so once they know that he's there, they start throwing the balls at him, like trying to get his attention.
They said in a cool and clever way.
And yeah, they start tossing balls at him, and Gus does his little dance again, his little build-up dance, and he goes to throw the ball, and it hits the top of the cage. It doesn't even go out, and that's when Sean steps in and nearly hits the guy twice before the guy just gives up, and he's like, all right, I got it. You guys found me."
He was not he was not hiding well. This
Yeah.
may have been the funniest part of this episode to me.
Hmm.
This whole little scene.
But he says that he is a private investigator.
Yes, he drops like a huge bomb. Sean is really caught off guard here because this guy tells them that he was hired by Gus's wife to find him. And Sean is really he's like, "No, no." And then Gus's face in that little hat, I had this little note that he's in the hat that you wear when a ball is coming at you and like, it's
Hmm.
covering your ears and
Like a
everything,
helmet,
and
yeah.
he's like he's like, nudging or something. I
I
don't know,
have it
it
in
was
my notes
hysterical.
that Gus admits he was married simply by the looks on his face.
And
Like
then he
Sean just
was
looks at
like
him and
so
he's like,
guilty.
"He doesn't know what he's talking about, right?" And he gets all like fidgety.
His face, he looked like a little boy, like, with the little hat on, Gus did.
Hmm.
Because he was, like, all scared, like, "I don't wanna own up to this," and, like, he was, like, all
Hmm.
it was cute. This was my favorite scene.
About 3 minutes 50 seconds in, we find out that Sean is mad at Gus for keeping his secret from him. Also because he didn't get to give his speech that he planned for Gus's wedding. Sean
Mhm.
apparently has a book of speeches pre-written from a while ago, and he already wrote Gus's eulogy as well.
Okay, can
I
we
know.
talk about the eulogy? The eulogy says
Hmm.
Gus is survived by his best friend Sean and his 12 cats.
Yep.
Gus is Gus was like, "I'm not gonna have 12 cats, Sean." Anyway, I he gets like all. Do you notice at this point where he gets like where he's having to like calm Sean down, like make him realize if I'm really gonna do that, then you would have been standing right up there next to me.
Yes. No,
That
no, I
like
love that.
yes, he
I
like
love that they have a
assured
total
him.
bro moment, and it's great. It's a great thing that they sprinkle in a couple every now and then through episodes. And yeah, he
Yeah.
says, "But dude, when I get married for real, you'll be standing on that altar right next to me as my best man." And Sean even goes, "Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear it."
He was
Like,
so
he was
wounded.
hurt.
He was so wounded.
Yeah, he was
It was
hurt.
it was sad. He was like,
Mhm.
"How could you do it without me?"
Yep.
Oh no.
Mhm.
Very cute.
Gus ended up so the story behind it was Gus got married in spring break of '97. He was in,
Mazatlan.
Mazatlan with some college friends, and he ran into a girl named Mira Gaffney. I did look it up. That is a city in Mexico, a resort town along the Pacific shoreline in the state of Sinaloa. I didn't say that right, probably. S-
Sinalao.
Okay, yeah, that too.
Sinalao. Mhm. I
Heard it both
okay,
ways.
when they did
All
the
right.
flashback of this, and well, first Sean says, 97, were you wearing the sweater vest then?" And Gus is like, "No." Cut to the flashback scene, and he's in the sweater vest with the argyle on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was his hair. He had, like, all this hair. It was high like it was in the 90s. That's, what everyone did.
The high top fade.
That's right, that's right.
And so Gus has a picture still from the actual ceremony that they had, and his best man was a goat at the wedding, and he was too drunk to notice, is what he said his excuse was. Uh, Sean is like, I was supposed to be that goat, and Gus is like, Sean, we're on me now,
Uh-huh.
reminding him that it's not always about you, Sean. I just love how he actually said that. It wasn't just inferred. It's like, we're on me now, Sean.
Right.
But then we find out that Gus called off the marriage when he sobered up, and Mira went a little nuts on him. Granted, it should also be mentioned that literally the first time he saw Mira, she was spitting fireballs at the bar. So,
Okay, but
I
can we
mean,
also talk about the
her
effect
temperament.
that yeah, well, let's also talk about the effect that Mira seemed to have on him. Gus couldn't even speak. Like, everything whenever he was around her,
Yeah, he
everything
would
was
kind of
delayed for him. He
lose
was
himself.
yeah, he it was like he could have been completely sober, and she
And
had that
that
effect.
is
Yeah.
why, because he needs to go and figure out what's going on and sign
Yes.
some papers, and that right
Yes.
there is why he asked Sean to go with him. He's like, "I want you to
Right.
be my shield, make sure that I don't do anything crazy
He
as
says
soon as I'm with her."
he says you can come with me, but you have to promise to keep me from being sucked in by Hurricane Mira again."
And Sean is
And
like, "Call me the suck stopper."
and then he's
He's
like,
like,
"No,
"No, don't call me that ever."
don't." Okay, but I will say they used a really accurate description here when they were talking like Hurricane Mira. This girl is she's a nightmare. Anyway,
She's nuts.
all right. So, well, first of all, let's go at 7 minutes. We are in, like, we cut to this chase that Lassie, Jules, and McNabb are involved in, and they're chasing a perp down the street. And Jules like uses her brain here, and she's the one who gets him. She kind of outsmarted all the other guys that were chasing this guy, and
Yeah, like she was
it
falling behind, and then she's like stops for a second and thinks.
uh-huh,
Mhm.
she thinks, and then they get back to this station, and they're still talking about it, and McNabb is, like, so impressed by her, deductive reasoning skills that he asks her to tutor him because he's wanting to take the detective's exam, And we find out at this point that Jules scored higher by over a point on the detective exam than Lassie did.
Like,
And
it was like a
Lassie,
97 versus her 98, like, it was really close,
yeah, but
but
it was no,
higher.
it
Mhm,
killed him. He was all to pieces. And he's like, I check every 3 months. And, this never shows. And you've learned it's because she took hers in Miami. But that started the whole story in this episode between Lassie and Jules.
mhm. But I wanna go back real quick to 2
Yeah.
things. First, it's season 2, and McNabb is getting ready to take his detective exam.
Well, I think he's just studying for it at this point. I don't think he's
He's gonna be taking it for a while, with 8 seasons of the show.
But he has to
But
build up enough confidence to take it first.
yes, and I love McNabb. I'm not saying anything bad about McNabb, but, I just pointed out that I didn't remember that, or I guess at the time, it didn't really mean anything to me until we know later on when he does the detective thing
Right.
again. But, yeah, so just noting that, and then also, in the scene that we're talking about where they're chasing the perp through, like, the market, and then he jumps the fence, he knocks over a table, and Lassie trips over the table and falls. Now, there's one thing I thought was interesting about this, and, maybe it's because I've been watching this show about this, it's like a YouTube channel about 3D effects, the Corridor Crew, and they break down effects from movies and, like, show you how it's done and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But, seeing this one, it was shot very well because you don't ever see Lasseter's actual, like, a clear picture of his face in it. So, I don't know, I was curious if this was a real fall or not,
Hmm.
and it would kinda make sense for them to script it in if they wanted to show him, like, maybe falling behind or, like, getting slowed down in some way. Or it could have just been him, like, on set, and he just tripped over the table because it doesn't look like it looked like he was trying to jump over it and his foot just got caught. So that is one thing I would love to know if that was a scripted fall or not, or if he literally accidentally
Hmm.
fell and they just left it in because it looked okay. But I couldn't tell whenever I had, like, slowed it down and paused it if it was a stuntman or not. So
And you know what? I didn't even look at it that closely. And as a little sidebar, I'm gonna say I think it's cute that you're watching like on YouTube like things about how they do these things.
well,
And last
it's a
night
cool channel.
well, okay, but last night I watched our friend Sage Brocklebank in A Bride for Christmas on Hallmark Channel. So it just goes to show you. It's on my DVR. I was, like, watching it before I went to sleep last night because and it was just cute to see him in something else, but I'm
Mhm.
such a fan of his now. It's
Well,
exciting.
I've seen lots of their videos now, and it started I think probably back in Bounty Hunters episode. I don't know. I look for it now. Anytime something like relatively dangerous or harmful happens, I'm like, oh, is that a cut? Is that a stuntman? How did they do that? Because they do some really cool stuff. But yeah, I don't want to get off topic. But yeah, they do some really cool stuff for
Okay.
special effects. At 10 minutes into the episode, and we finally get to meet Mira. Sean and
Oh,
Gus show up at the vineyard, and Gus forgets everything. Like, he literally just goes quiet as soon as Amira, like, runs up to him, and she's ecstatic. She's all like, she's really, let's say, pippy. Um,
no. No, no, no. Let's call this what it is. She is wackadoo.
yeah. She's very loud, very,
We're just
almost
gonna call it what
random.
it is. She is
Yeah, she's crazy.
crazy.
She's crazy. Yeah,
She's
she's
crazy,
crazy.
and she comes off that way right out of the gate.
Mhm.
There's no like, "Oh, no, she could be fine." No, 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 no. From the get-go,
Yeah,
she's
she's, like,
crazy.
changing topics and going to, like, these extremes, like, "Have you ever been skydiving?" Like, that kinda thing. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
when as soon as she comes up, Gus, like, lags. Like, he's got
yeah.
some latency right here for about 45 seconds, and Sean, I thought was kinda cool, jumps in and tries to cover for him. He's like, "Oh, I just asked him a riddle." He's probably still thinking about that answer, and she's like, "No, it's okay, he's done this before." And
Mhm.
I kinda thought it was cute how they had this, like, dynamic where she's like, "It's okay, he's done this before." I think it's cute where he is, like, nervous and, she recognizes it, but I do love Gus in this scene because he's like he's just kinda frozen, like his eyes are kind of wide open, like he's about to say something, but it just hasn't started yet. And
Like,
her
he,
and
like,
Mira,
can't speak because of her, he can't speak.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Mira and Sean are like kind of having their own little side talk while he's lagging, and then he just starts talking, answering her original question. I don't know, it was just a cool little scene that they did. I liked the intro. I thought it was clever.
So, oh, okay. I just have some things to say here. First of all, and this may be a very unpopular opinion, I feel a little protective of Gus. I love Gus. Okay. I feel a little protective. I love Gus. I love his character. I so much. He's like just such a good character.
Mhm.
I am not a fan of this actress, Kerry Washington. For whatever
I
reason, and
thought she
it
was
is
awesome.
okay, no, it is probably my orthodontic background. Her teeth are
Oh my
extremely
god.
distracting to me. They bother me so much, I cannot
Oh
focus
my
on
god.
anything else when she
You
speaks.
guys, I hear this all the time because she's looking at people's teeth all day, or she used to be looking at people's teeth all day.
Yeah.
She just notices people's teeth. Oh my
Okay,
I okay,
okay,
well,
so
that is not a valid that is not
no,
valid.
I for whatever reason, I don't like the way that she talks. I don't like even let's take her teeth out of the equation, the way she talks, there is something about her. I don't even like when she's doing the Neutrogena
Are you
commercials.
saying there's something about Mira?
That was perfect. That was perfect, Matt. No, okay, so she does like Neutrogena commercials and like I cannot watch her. And I really am not trying to be like mean in any way. She's very pretty. It's when she talks it bothers me.
I
So
thought she was really pretty, and while I
she's
hate the character,
beautiful.
I thought she portrayed the character very well. I thought she got that crazy, eccentric, high
Yeah.
energy thing down.
I
So
just wish
I
that they
think
had
you're just
had a
nuts.
different actress doing it because
Mhm.
I'm just not a care. And I told you it was going to be unpopular opinion.
I
I
think
know that
so,
it's people are going to
because
be like
nobody else notices teeth
spewing.
like that unless
No,
they're, like,
people are
super gross or something missing or something like that. Nobody
no,
notices teeth like
and
that.
here's the thing. It wasn't even about like she doesn't her teeth are not crooked in any way. They're not but it's just that they are oh my gosh. When she speaks, it's not I just don't love her
But
arch shape and stuff like that really just
back
bother me.
to the point,
Anyway,
though,
okay. I'm
she ends up
sorry.
inviting
Sorry.
them. She ends up inviting the guys to the wedding because of her eccentric craziness,
Yes.
and Sean is, like, prepared to say no, so they're not a part of any weird situations, and Gus is just like, "Of course, we'll be there," and he got sucked into Hurricane Mira.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that the wedding is tomorrow is like, okay, well, so but Gus does get to sign the papers and that whole thing gets fixed,
On a
so
side
that she
note,
can get
I'm
married.
very curious if you really can just sign a paper in California and get married or get divorced and married in, like, one day time.
Well, that's an
I
interesting
feel like
question,
it's kind of I feel like it's
but
harder to get
they
a divorce than that.
but they had it annulled in Mexico.
Yeah, but they said that they sent the paper that Mexico sent the
Right, they
papers to the
sent
US.
no, but they sent the marriage information to the US, but they didn't send the annulment stuff to the US. So it was probably just verifying the annulment.
Oh, okay. Valid point. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I
But
think there's some possibility there.
mhm.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
no,
so they're
that's a
gonna
valid
go to
point.
the
Yeah.
wedding. They're going to the wedding and
I
they meet
love
up a guest
I love
at the
this part.
wedding.
13 minutes, 30 seconds in. So the guys show up in their like outfits to the wedding, and Henry's there. And through context, we find out that Sean invited Henry to like go out to eat. They're like, "Hey, meet us here. We'll get lunch." And
Mhm.
Henry shows up in one of his classic ugly shirts and shorts and
Yeah.
like sandals. And he's like, "Man, I've been dying. I'm starving. You guys, are we gonna get food anytime soon?" And then he's like, "We're going to a wedding." Like, "What are you talking about?" Like, "We'll get some at the wedding." And he's like, "I can't go to a wedding. I'm not dressed
Yeah.
for a wedding." I
So
love
this
how
is
he just springs it on him.
but it's kind of cool because we go into like an ongoing theme here. So
Uh-huh.
at the wedding, they're all there. Gus gets a scare right away because it sort of sounds like the wedding is for him. He realizes it's not, but we find out that Jan which
Jan?
okay. I was just gonna say, Sean will never say Jan, he says
I
Jan,
won't either.
and
It's so
yeah.
dumb.
Well, we find out that he's missing and he doesn't show up for the wedding, and this is the best part. So Henry is there and he's hungry, and she says Mira is crying, and she says, "Nobody is eating until I get married."
Yeah, she's throwing
So
a fit like a child.
wait, so now we're going back to like last week's episode. He gets invited to Christmas dinner at Gus's family's house,
Uh-huh.
and he can't eat right away because everyone's doing their talking, and he's like all to pieces. And now this week they bring him to a wedding, and he can't eat there either. I thought it was funny. I was like, okay, they're gonna keep this going. Poor
Well,
Henry, he
Mira
just wants to eat.
well, Mira after she says that, everybody looks over to Henry, who's got a chicken wing in his mouth,
He
and
does.
they give him the death stare, and he's like, "You know what, Sean? I'm out of here. It's rude to invite people to an event and not feed them." And he says that to Mira. And I get it. He thought he was meeting them for lunch, not going to a wedding. I feel like it's something Papa would have done. I feel like it's something my grandfather would have done. It's
Oh my
so great.
gosh.
God, he
Yes,
kills it as Henry.
that is
Corbin is
something my
so
dad would
good
have
as
done.
Henry.
And he would have done it
The
in
same
a
way.
Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Sorry about that, guys. A little sidebar. That was so funny.
But
Yeah, but poor Henry,
mhm,
he just wants to eat and he just can't wherever he goes. But that's the only time we see Henry in this episode. So we're 16 minutes in, and Gus is feeling really bad for Mira. She's been crying and crying. And so goes over there and offers their help. He says, "We're going to find Jan for you." And she's kind of excited knowing that they're detectives and, maybe they'll find him. We then cut at 16 minutes and 18 seconds to the police station. And Lassie is clearly making everything a competition with Jules now.
just as
He
Lassiter would. I
Yes.
don't like this version of Lassiter, but I think this is accurate. Like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
the side of Lassiter you don't like, but it is
Yeah.
accurate to Lassiter. And I
Very true
think
to character.
Timothy plays it very well.
Yes.
Like, his tonage and everything, the way he does it is great.
Yes, definitely. Um, you can tell here though, Jules is not worried. And, he comes up to her, he's like, "I got all my paperwork done, da 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 da." And then the chief comes up and says, "Hey, can you go ahead and translate these into Spanish?" And you can tell it's like one defeat after the other for him. He's really like, "Seriously? You
Mhm.
speak Spanish? This is not, yeah, it was a requirement in Miami," she says.
He even
Um,
goes as far to drink the steaming hot cup of coffee that she won't drink because it's too hot, just to, one up her.
yeah,
And after that, McNabb comes over and asks her for help on a question on the exam, and Lassiter tries to jump in and solve it, but, she ends up they end up just going back and forth on it, like, for what the answer is, until they get an update on Juliet's case of the not so important missing refrigeration truck, the stolen refrigeration truck. But
right.
Lassiter takes that up and he's like, you know what? I'm going to solve your case before you to finally prove who the best detective is.
Yeah, thus begins the real competition.
Which totally, that type of case totally requires two detectives, high
Yeah.
ranking detectives.
Yeah.
We are 19 minutes and 45 seconds in, and Sean is pushed away from Gus and Mira and is walking around and bumps into Mira's mom. And when they talk, they find out that Mira's mom and dad have not met Jan at all. And they kind of just are believing Mira. She has some like photos of them showing that they've been
Mhm.
together for a while and they're kind of just trusting her. And which kind of is
Yeah.
surprising because once we do meet her father, he's a very stern, like no
Mhm.
nonsense type of guy. Which
Well,
kind
he
of
probably
blows my
just wants
mind
to
with how
shut her
she is.
up. He probably just doesn't wanna listen to her. He's probably like, "Okay, whatever, bye." I
Mhm.
would. I'd be like, "I'm gonna need you to go now." But
But
anyway,
one thing that's
so
notable is that Mira's mom is hitting on Sean.
Yeah, so Mira's mom is pretty taken by Sean. He's trying to question her, and she just keeps pulling him into places. Like they go into this room
The
with a
wine cellar.
private collection. Yes, a cellar,
Mhm.
with a private collection of wine and alcohol. She closes the door behind them. She says that the stuff in that room is worth over $1 million, and then she just downs several glasses of this wine that Sean also can't even stomach. It's
Well,
kind of
she
gross.
pours him some,
Yeah.
and he, like, spits it into the glass, like, it kind of just,
Yes.
like, dribbles out of his mouth, and he's like, "That's disgusting." And she's like, "That's a $30,000 bottle of sherry," and then Sean, like, gives it, like, a begrudging look and then starts drinking it again, and just you can see it on his face how gross it is.
I love at this moment though, because she like goes around him, around the back of him, and she says that she likes her wine like she likes her men, white and hairy.
It's so weird.
Ah! Doesn't Sean even say there, like, I'm
Yeah,
not
he's
really
like,
sure what
"That
that
makes no
means?
sense." I'm pretty sure that doesn't make sense. Something like that. But,
It was
yeah.
awful. Ugh. As
Let's
for
see.
someone myself, I don't like wine, so I get it. Go,
It gives me a
Sean.
headache. I'm
Yeah,
with you on that.
it's not pleasant. At 22 minutes, we are back at the psych office. Sean is telling Gus that Jan doesn't really exist. He thinks Mira has completely made up this guy. And he also saw that she has been prescribed clozapine that treats anxiety and psychosis, but she's not taking her meds. And so
I
that was kind of news there.
While Sean was looking up Jan, he said, "I can't find any episodes of Jan Englund online, but he did find a Jeff Englund that hosts a website about Short Circuit." And Gus,
Hmm.
completely off topic, is like, "Did you sign us up for the mailing list?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." Like, such a weird thing. I love that they added
Yes.
that kind of stuff. I love that every time they do it. Mm.
Yes. Well, it with the clozapine confirmed
Oh,
my
that
original
she's
feelings about her that
nuttier than a
she's
bag of
just
almonds.
not all that right. Okay. We go to the station next, and Sean is there going over the pictures that Mira had with everyone there, like Mira, her parents, the chief, Lassie, and Jules. And then all at once, who appears? Jan.
Yeah, this is after he just had his revelation that Jan does not exist.
Right. Doesn't look too good for him.
Hmm. Yeah, the chief points out Jan and that he just walked in, and then Sean is very confused and needs to get his footing on the situation. And Lassiter is loving his that he kind of put his foot in his mouth here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Any mistake that Sean makes, Lassie loves.
But Sean does end up going and
Mhm.
talking to Mira again, and
Well, but first he
Mira.
goes and talks to Gus and tells Gus, something's not right. I know something's not right here. That was at 25:15. He tells Gus something's not
Oh,
right.
okay.
So then Sean goes to talk to them.
Yeah, we're about 26 minutes in, and Mira admits to Sean that the photos were fake, because Sean noticed that there was a cut on Jan's face from like shaving, and it was the same cut in the same place for all the photos. So he gets her to admit that the photos are fake, and they have not been together as long as they originally said that they were.
Mhm.
They essentially kind of fell in love really quickly, as Mira, I guess, tends to do. And she knew that her dad wouldn't let her get married on such a short relationship. So Jan got some Photoshop pictures done, and they used that as like a scheme to get married.
While they were talking, did you notice something? She was listing off some past boyfriends, and one of them was Guru Anupam.
I
And I
saw
thought,
this. This is a thing
"Oh,
on the Amazon
yes,
trivia, I think.
Anupam
Hmm.
Nagam is, like, been a writer on some of the episodes, and I thought it was
It goes
cute
like
that they put
Gay
that in
Doug
there."
and Anapom or something. Like they use the first and like the
Yes.
first name of both of the writers as
Uh-huh.
in the names. So yeah, that was a cool little call out that they had.
I thought that was kinda cool too, but
Hmm.
anyway, I didn't know if you noticed it. So the okay, after that scene, we have found out that Jan has gone golfing with Mira's dad. So, of course, Sean says, "You know what? We're gonna go golfing too. We're gonna have to find him." So he takes Gus
But he
golfing.
doesn't tell Gus. So he tells Gus that we need like a break. We need to take a break. We'll step back. We'll relax a little
Right,
bit.
like, he's,
Gus doesn't know that
he
they're doing recon.
yeah, he pretends that he's just trying to make Gus feel better, but Sean really wants to find Jan. And I have a couple of notes here. First of all, pineapple sighting, because the pineapple is on Sean's pink polo shirt. The
I missed that
next
one initially.
Okay, the next note that I have, what is happening with Sean's capri pants
I saw that.
in
I
this
saw
ep
that.
who put those on him? I don't think they were supposed to be shorts. They're way too long to be shorts.
Uh-huh.
They're way too short to be pants. He is wearing man prees in
I
this episode.
screenshotted that one. I was gonna post it on the page.
I just like, I had to stop. I had to
Mhm.
stop watching. I went, "Wait a minute." And I paused it and I was like, "Why? Why
Yeah.
those pants?" I will also note, that Gus once again has a little dance before making a golf swing. So it's
He's
not only at the
adjusting
batting
his
cages,
footing.
I don't know what he's
I gotta
doing,
defend him.
but it
Gotta
was
defend him.
cute. It was
Mhm.
cute. I get it. It was cute. But anyway, yeah, pineapple sighting on the shirt, 2755. That's where I
Well,
caught it anyway.
we see that Jan is with Mira's father, and they're kind of spending some time together trying to catch up. And I'm guessing Jan's probably trying to make up to him about missing the wedding.
Mhm.
And then we see Jan go off on his own and sneak off and have a little private meeting with the private investigator from the beginning of the episode. And his name, by the way, is awesome. It's Mace Rodin. That's such
Mhm.
a sweet name. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
tough. I like it. But yeah, they have a shady little meeting and they're kind of arguing. They don't hear what they say, but Sean can see him from afar. And then they confront him. Gian, not the PI.
Right. So he figures out that I loved in this little okay, I loved in this little interaction that Sean breaks out with the Portuguese and
Hmm.
kind of proves that Jan does not speak Portuguese, and how could he
Yeah, he
be
tricks him.
working in Portugal? Like, he kinda tricked him into that, and at this point, Jan's just like, I had to get out of a relationship that I was in that wasn't working," and, he was, like, making up well, I mean, I guess he wasn't really making that up, but it was he was trying to justify what he was like,
His
the reason that he
thoughts.
didn't show up for the wedding. Yeah, he was just
Mm,
trying to justify, and also why he was arguing with Mace. So,
yeah. He said he
anyway.
was in a past relationship that he needed to end before he married her.
Right.
And when he said that he loves Mira and that it changed him, Gus believes him. And I think Sean
Mhm.
kind of does too. It was sincere, even though it wasn't completely honest. But we'll
Yeah.
we'll hit that later. The guys are back at Jan's and oh wait, sorry. I read the same one.
Mhm. So, I guess we're at 3 okay.
Mhm.
At 30 minutes, 52 seconds, we are back at the police station, and Lassie has an informant about this truck case that they're working in the interrogation room. And as the little competition continues, Lassie says that he could break this guy in 30 seconds. So they steal McNabb's watch
I
and start
hate this part.
timing each other
Mm.
to see who's gonna get the information from this guy. So they're altering, they're alternating, like, every 30 seconds. It's agonizing. I
I hate
agree
this.
with
I
you.
hate the whole confrontation thing between them. We kind of talk about it later for notable points.
Mhm.
Um, I hate this whole conversation confrontation between them. I mean, with this scene, the only notes I really took was I actually kind of liked what the guy that they were interrogating had to say. He's like, there are two reasons to steal a car: to sell it or to use it. And since nobody's
Mhm.
tried to sell me a refrigeration truck, it probably means they're trying to use it for something.
It's a good
And
bit of
I like that. It was a
information.
very logical statement from this guy, and it kind of just turned the whole case in the right direction. So I thought that was good. But
Right. And now they know, okay, someone needed this for something, and before they can totally get any more information from this guy, McNabb comes in and tells them that the chief needs them for an important case, and they're all going now to Jan's hotel room, or Jan's hotel room,
Jan,
and they see that Jan is dead.
yeah. He is dead on his bed in the hotel room.
Mhm. At the psych office, they're trying to figure out what to do next, and Sean, wants to talk to Jules and Lassie about Gus. Or, well, no, Sean wants to talk to Jules and Lassie, and Gus decides to go to the winery to talk to Mira and to be there for her, as a friend. I hated that part because I just knew what was about to happen with Gus because I was like, "You know what? He's gonna get sucked in if Sean's not there to help him."
Hmm.
But there's a purpose for them splitting up, I suppose, here, and Sean to do what he's gotta do and Gus to do what he's gotta do.
Hmm. So Sean is
Mhm.
back at the police station. In the conference room, we have the chief, McNabb, Lassie, and Juliet, and they're all discussing the refrigeration case. And Sean walks in, and gets the aura that there is some competition between the two. Like he feels that there's something going on between them, and they tell him that they're competing because uh, Juliet did a better job. We got a higher score in the detective exam, and then out comes, oh, the detective exam. Yeah, I got 100 on that. I took that when I was like 15. What'd you guys
That
get?
was so perfect. It
It
was so
was,
perfect.
and I believe it too. I totally believe it.
Okay, but okay, alright. I have a note about that, though. Is this not a clue to
Yeah,
everyone in that room that maybe Sean is not a psychic, maybe he's just, like, super detective, like,
that's what I
he's
was
an
thinking.
amazing detective? This was such a clue for all of them.
Hmm.
None of them questioned it.
Yeah.
None of them. They were so busy thinking about this little feud between the 2, Lassie and Jules, that none of them went, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, a now former feud.
Yeah,
Lester even was like,
yeah.
well, it was a long time ago.
It
They've
shut it
updated it since
down.
then. Like it almost discredited the exam for Lassie a little bit. He's like, I don't
Yeah.
even care about this anymore. Like,
Well, exactly, it made his look even
mhm.
worse,
But
like,
they
if I
do,
lost to Sean,
mhm, and that closes the competition on that situation.
Right. 35 minutes, 28 seconds, Gus is now at the winery with Mira. Gus is falling into her trap again. He is, like, being hit by the hurricane, and they hear something. They go to see what it is, and someone is in the wine cellar and pulls a gun on them. So, at the station, at the same time, McNabb brings in information about the fingerprints that were found in the truck case, and they were a match to Mace Roden, the private investigator. So Sean now is in an understanding. He's like, okay, he's putting this together. He saw someone scrubbing paint off of something at the winery, finds out it's the same color as this truck, and he knows that Gus is in danger. So
Mhm.
they are now, and they got to get in the car. They get into Lassie's car. They're on the way to the winery. Sean starts freaking out and asks for a gun.
This is what I was talking about with the last week's episode, the one about the Christmas thing where he throws him over the fence and he just ditches him. Yeah, he's like, "That's my best friend in here," or like, he says, "I took a note of it." He said, "Drive faster. That's my best friend in there." And he's kind of freaking out in the back
Mhm.
seat, and he asks for a gun twice. He's like, "Do you guys have a gun that I can have?" Yeah,
Yeah,
he steps up and protects his friend, and maybe
that's
that they're
right.
passing off last week's thing is like he was just younger,
Mhm.
and as he grew up, he got more like protective. But yeah,
I
I
thought it
love
was
how he's
cool,
there
like,
for him.
he sort of starts the summary in the car, though, too. He
Yeah.
says that Jan did not really exist, he was a con man, they conned Mira, conned her parents, and they were gonna steal the wine out of that cellar during the
Mhm.
wedding when nobody was there. As they get there, and he tells them, "You know what? Mace is there now, and he's trying to steal it right now." Matt, why don't you wrap up the rest for us?
They get to the winery and they go down to the cellar and they find Mace Rodin passed out on the floor. Gus is on top of Mira on the ground and everything is soaking wet. And Sean like steps forward right as like Gus is about to try and explain and he's like, "Don't worry, buddy. I can divine how this happened." And he goes through this whole heroic this very like heroic scenario of Gus thinking quickly and defending Mira and taking down the bad guy all in one quick motion. And Gus is like kind of just like nodding his head along with it, just kind of let him tell the story. And then as everybody kind of steps away to like start arrest people and start cleaning up, Gus is like, that's not how it happened at all, dude. And he's like, I know. Did Mace's cigarette set off the smoke alarms? Yeah. And he's like, and then I bumped into Mira and like knocked her over as I was trying to escape. Like
The
he
good
totally
news
covered for him.
well, the good news is Mira is so crazy, no one would believe her anyway if she said anything different.
Hmm. But
You
the main idea is that they were going to rob the seller during the wedding, and then he fell for her. There really is something about Mira,
kn
and it kind of messed up the whole
Mhm.
plans. And Mace Rodin wasn't having it. He killed Jan and went along with it and tried his best, but he failed.
Yeah, he failed.
You know what it mean? You know what this means, guys? Smoking is bad for your health. You know, that's that's the real message.
This show or this episode ends with Mira and Sean and Gus at the psych office, where Sean once again saves
As nutty
Gus
as ever.
from Hurricane Mira, and she's trying very hard to get him to be back in her life. But Sean saves him, and then he tries to give Gus fake pictures saying that he was married too. It's still bothering him.
Yeah, and it's like I'm doing skydiving with a
Yeah.
rabbi.
Yeah.
Is nutty pictures, but let's get into our notable points for the episode. Barb, what do you have for Come On Sons?
My come on, son.
Do
Well,
you have one?
it's just an overall thing. It's not like particularly one moment, but the feud between
Mhm.
Lassie and Jules. It's just
That's
not
what I got. Lassiter
necessary.
making it weird when he finds out about
Yes.
Juliet. Yeah, I hate it when they compete. I prefer them to compete together against
Yes.
somebody else or
Yes, I
something
agree with
else.
that.
I love
I
that.
agree with that. I
Mhm.
because it's just their scores were so close, first of all. It wasn't like they were 12 points or 15 points apart.
Far apart.
They were
Yeah.
so close. It seems like they would have just been excited for each other and gone, "Yep, and that's why we work together." You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
did you yours
Yeah.
was the same? Okay.
Yep, same thing for me. What about a wait for it?
The "Is Jan real?" angle here.
That's a good one. I didn't have one, but I could see that one
That's
being
really
one.
the only
Yeah, I didn't really have one this
that's
time.
really the only thing.
Mhm.
What about, yeah?
I did have all
Okay.
yes. I had
Okay,
2 of
go
them
ahead.
actually. When Sean scored 100 on the detective exam at 15, that was an all yeah moment. And then also when Sean covers for Gus and gives an awesome explanation for the wrap-up scene
Mhm.
at the end, I thought that was an all yeah moment when you actually like when you see
Okay.
the
Yeah,
story that
yeah.
he tells. He's like he tells Mira to blow fire at the sprinkler
Mhm.
system, and then he jumps over and tackles the guy. Yeah, like I thought it was a cool cover, so I'll give that one an all yeah as well.
My, yeah was was the flashback of Gus in the sweater vest.
Oh.
I thought that was great.
I get that.
That was
Okay,
great for
okay.
me. I thought that so, but and
Uh-huh.
I don't think there was a Henry
Yeah,
lesson
he
in
looks
this
so
one, was
young.
there?
Of
What?
course. It's rude to invite people to an event and not feed them.
That is
Yeah.
great. That is great because usually the Henry lessons come in different form than that. So good for you for catching that as
Yes.
one. Go for you. Good for you. We know
I also have 2
Okay, wait a
pineapples.
minute. So we got the polo shirt. What's the other one?
So, initially, I didn't see any, and I actually had to look it up.
Okay.
And when I looked it up, they said that there was, like, 3 of them or 4 of them, and I don't count, where's the pineapples if it's, like, diced pineapple in a fruit salad. If you can't clearly tell it's a
Yeah.
pineapple,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
wanna
count it.
see the whole
That's not
pineapple.
fair.
Or
Or if it's like a pineapple flavored drink or
Mhm,
something, I get that if it's
mhm.
on the label. But so in this one, at 15 minutes 11 seconds, at the wedding, actually the scene with Henry, over Gus's right shoulder on the table, like with the spread, you can see the crown of a pineapple inside of like a big fruit bowl. It's like a whole pineapple.
Okay.
And then we also at 27 minutes 30 seconds, we get a clear image of Sean's polo that has the pineapple on the left like
Yes,
breast
that
pocket.
one I saw, but I didn't
Mhm.
see the one I guess I just wasn't looking for it at the wedding.
No, it was
Yeah.
hard to see. it was a hard one to see over his shoulder, and it's only on screen for a very
Okay.
short time. You really had to be
Well,
looking
it's
for it.
funny because once we noticed the pineapple on the polo shirt in the previous episode, I think it
Mhm.
was the Meat is Murder episode. Now I kinda look at
Yes.
it and I noticed it on this one. Yeah, anyway. It's kinda like they made their own little Psych version of clothing.
It seems like they got him an assortment
Right.
of
It
colors
was
of
blue
pineapple.
last time, now it's pink. Did you have I didn't hear any
Mhm.
silly nicknames.
Nope, nothing this time.
Alright, so pop culture references in this episode. There were not very many, guys. I only have 4, so be proud of me here.
I only heard, like,
Okay.
2, and they were just I don't know, they're just
Well,
okay.
we're gonna start off with Thelma Hopkins. Thelma Hopkins played Mira's mom in this episode. She has had a tremendously long TV career. She's got her kind of her first big thing was Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks and Peter Scalera, who's sadly Peter Scalera, Scolari, sorry, had recently passed away like last week. He had cancer. I was sad to hear that. He was a funny actor, but her start was in that. She was also on Gimme a Break from 1983 to 1990 or 1987, but her most recognizable role was probably as Aunt Rachel in Family Matters, with Urkel. Matt, do you know that show?
Never seen it.
Oh my god.
I know
Okay,
what it
you know
is.
what it is. All right. Anyway, she's just done tons
Mhm,
of TV. The next reference was Short Circuit. That was a 1986 movie starring Ali Sheedy, who shows up later in Psych and the Yin Yang episodes. And the movie was about a robot named Number 5 that gets electrocuted, becomes intelligent, and escapes. It was all the rage back then. Johnny Number
doesn't
5.
make any sense.
Well, like, they had him in this thing, he gets electrocuted, it's like an artificial intelligence sorta thing, and he then, Ali Sheedy sorta helps him get away, and anyway, it was very
Okay.
popular in its day. There was even
Alright.
sequels to it. The next
Mhm.
reference was Caddyshack, which was a 1980 movie starring Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, and Bill Murray about a golf course. So he referenced it when they were on the golf course, and he said a couple of the references from the
Mhm.
movie. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you here. That was not like the kind of humor that I used to enjoy. So when I was younger, I know I've seen bits and pieces of that movie, but I have never seen the whole movie. Anyway,
Never seen this one
yeah.
either.
The last one that I have is Jan Brady. Jan Brady was the middle sister on The Brady Bunch. She was played by Eve Plum. That show ran from 1969 to 1974 and has seen many iterations since, including several parody movies that came out in the 90s. So that's all I've got, Matt. Did you catch anything I didn't catch?
Nope, the 2 I had were the ones in the middle,
Okay.
and, you covered
All
them. 'em. You're
right.
good. Now let's do the episodes, like, wrap up the general
Yeah,
thoughts
what
here.
do you think?
What did I think? So this one I teetered between 2
Me
pineapples and 3
too!
pineapples.
What is with us agreeing lately?
Um, I don't well, it's a good
Okay,
season. I mean,
okay.
I don't know, we're getting yeah. The deciding factor for me, it was really the fact that this was a lot of, good background information on Gus, good character building, and, I love a good character backstory. And this adds to it. So that was pretty much the saving grace for me. There was a couple of good jokes in it that was good as well. But if this wasn't about Gus's like backstory, where we get to learn more about Gus, I might not like this one as much, just because like the case didn't really resonate with me. I also didn't like the confrontation. The confrontation was a big thing between Jules and Lassiter. It's just not as good of a feeling. It's I don't know. It just doesn't feel as good for me. It was okay, which is why I gave it 3, and if it came on, I would just let it run through.
I okay. I too went back and forth between 2 and 3 pineapples, but I landed on 2. Because okay, so you talked about a little bit of character building for Gus. I feel like we get a little bit of that in each episode for Gus, and it just wasn't strong enough for me And also because I really did not like the actress that they have playing Mira. Like, I
Karen
would
Washington.
not. There was also no character build between Sean and Jules. There was no character build between Sean and Henry. There was like that. I would roll pretty much past this one. This is not one that I ever go, "Ooh, I think I want to watch that episode of it." It's not. It's just not that for me. It did have a few funny moments, which saved it from being a one because it could have been a one, but the two won here. I'm going with two.
Now, from now, would you say the same thing from the context of a new listener? Somebody who's never seen this episode
Yes,
before,
because I no,
somebody
no,
who's
yes, I
watching it
would,
through.
because to be honest with you, I think all this gives us is one little piece of what happened to Gus, and it's not a piece that is like there's not
Ever
like
referenced again?
this long history of Gus being this party guy and all of that. That's not what you get from Gus.
Yeah.
You could
Well, I
still
think
get this.
that's part of why it's good though, is it's
uh
opposite. Like, you wouldn't expect, "Wait, Gus
no.
got drunk in Mexico and got married to some
No.
random girl?"
It doesn't hold up for me. I just
Okay.
don't
Alright,
feel
alright.
like it's that important a piece of Gus's history, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's yeah,
Alright, I
even
can
for a
respect
new
that, alright.
viewer, if you didn't see this episode, you would be all good and you'd probably still feel the same way about Gus you ever is as you did before. It would not
Good point.
matter.
Okay.
Yeah, not my fan. Not my it's definitely not a favorite episode for me. You think it holds up
Mhm.
over time?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there wasn't really anything that stood out. I mean, the only thing technologically speaking that was even possible is, like, the
Mhm.
photoshopping. They probably could have done better with it now. Well, they definitely could have
I
done
think
better
the
with it now. They could
point
have gotten rid of
was
that whole
though
scar
but
to
I think
begin
the
with,
point
but
was that
yeah.
it wasn't like it needed to not be good for them to know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was just
Mhm.
okay. And nothing was really off with it or outdated or anything like
I
that, so
agree.
it's just an okay episode.
I agree, and I think that
Alright.
wraps it up. On our next
Yep,
episode,
I
we
think
will
so.
be discussing season 2, episode 12, The Old and the Restless.
So
I'm
excited.
excited for that.
I love
But
this
wait, wait,
episode.
wait. Do you
I
know what's
love this
coming down the
episode.
pike? Because after that episode is Lights, Camera, Homicidio. And
Homicidio.
I
I forgot
am
about that. That
so
was this
like,
season?
that
Okay.
one, I'm so excited about. Yeah.
I really love the Old and the Restless, though. We get lots
Yes.
of Henry. We get lots of Sean and Gus in their
Yeah.
shenanigans. We get Juliet and
Mhm.
Lassiter. It's
Yeah.
a good episode. It really is a really well balanced episode. It's really lighthearted. It's also got a fun
Yes.
case. So I'm really looking
I
forward to that one.
agree.
Don't forget to check out our Facebook group as well as our Reddit and now our YouTube. We have links to everything down below, as well as like on our site. There's links to everything. So check it out somewhere around there.
You can also continue to send us some emails at our Gmail address, thepsychpodcast@gmail.com. And until the next episode of We Know You Know, a podcast about psych, we hope you have a great week.
Thanks for listening. Have a
Bye.
good night, guys.